You can find out all the information about our institute on the yogaclass.com website. And today we are going to read with you 108 aphorisms of Tantra Yoga. Tatiana will continue.
We started reading this text. We have read all the aphorisms in full. There is a lecture on the channel. And now we are going to read the same aphorisms, only with comments by Vadim Valeryevich Zaporozhtsev, which he once read in Moscow, at the Enlightenment Center. And today we will read the first 7 aphorisms, and gradually reach the 108th. Get started.
I'm starting. The first aphorism. You don't have two energies. All your energies are manifestations of one. Your warmth, your mental abilities, your sexual energy, your breathing is a manifestation of one energy. Just as you have one consciousness, otherwise there would be two personalities. Comments by Vadim Zaporozhtsev. This is the fundamental principle in Tantra Yoga. There is only one universal energy in a person. And all the others are a manifestation of this single energy, which in turn is transformed into one or another type of energy. The whole spectrum of what is happening inside you is a manifestation of a single energy. Therefore, there is no energy high and low, important and not important. In some traditions, this energy is called Kundalini energy. The activity of the mind also depends on the presence of subtle substances of energy. If you begin to control one manifestation of energy, then you can reach a single source of energy and influence another aspect of your energy. All manifestations of your energy are interconnected. It can be grouped into 3 large groups: breathing, sexuality, and the thought process. If you control one of them, you control all the others. The methods of controlling these energy spectra are pranayama, meditation, and the third key method of self-improvement are sexual practices. By practicing one of the methods, you come to understand all the primordial energies.
The second aphorism is praise to the original one. Comment. Odineth is one of the names of the Supreme Absolute. In some traditions, they waive. One of the possible translations of Adi is primordial, Natha is the Lord. We are all disciples of the Supreme Absolute. According to legend, all knowledge comes either from the Pope or from his wife. This is more than a tribute to tradition. This is a call to the Supreme to instruct and enlighten, including in the understanding of this treatise. In this appeal, we seem to transfer our consciousness to the Creator. Heaven is very unobtrusive and will not mix into your life unless you ask for it yourself. If you want the higher to help you, ask him about it. If you want to follow the path of Tantra Yoga, fast methods, then you need to enlist the support of those teachers who know this teaching, or contact the teacher of teachers. The third aphorism. Yes, I will live to see the time when you will experience all that I have experienced. Let this happiness flood you. Comment. This phrase is from the conductor of this knowledge, the one who wrote down this teaching, the one who passed it, the one who left it to us. Knowledge came from higher spheres, but it is voiced by people who have heard it. This is a kind parting word from teachers who urge you to realize this knowledge as soon as possible. Wishes in the yoga tradition mean a lot. If you have been blessed by one of the teachers, it is a very serious infusion of success. It is a blessing.
The fourth aphorism is that you are never alone. If you are sitting on Mount Kailash, you are with the Absolute. If you are in the arms of a young man or a girl, then the Absolute manifests through your beloved as through a prism. And the whole universe for you is him or her. If you're fighting your enemies, then you're not alone either. The whole universe manifests through your enemy. You communicate with the Absolute through him. Therefore, be attentive about yoga, perceive. The whole Absolute is talking to you. When you are alone, yoga is done, there is nothing more to strive for. Comment by Vadim Zaporozhtsev. This aphorism gives basic practices. The biggest problem that people have is the problem of communication, the problem of loneliness, which takes various forms. This is either the loneliness of a student who cannot find his teacher, or loneliness in ordinary life. When a young man cannot find his beloved girl, this is a fundamental problem of any living being. If you are part of the Absolute, you are separated from something whole. You want to be separated to one degree or another, and you are afraid of losing your individuality and enclose yourself with walls. This is what is called egoism, in the sense that there is an I and there is a non-I. As soon as there is separation, there is a border. The fact that something does not let us in. The door can store your possessions, but it can also keep friends out. The key moment in any person's life is the relationship between me and others. Since we are engaged in Tantra yoga, which is famous for a more scrupulous study of the relationship between a man and a woman, here I want to say that the most difficult lesson that life gives us is the lesson of the life of a man and a woman. This is the hardest, most difficult yoga, because virtually all the contradictions that have separated one small soul from the entire universe are concentrated here. And if a person at the household level faces these problems with his wife or husband, then this is not such a harmless problem as it seems at first glance. The toughest problem for people starting to practice yoga is the problem of relationships with others. First of all, the relationship between a man and a woman. As long as you lead a monastic lifestyle and do not touch the opposite sex, everything is fine with you, you fly in the heights of the spirit. And then it turns out that your life collides with the opposite sex and different problems arise. For example, a yogi who used to be unperturbed starts living with his girlfriend, and literally they almost fight. But it is much worse when a person is alone, when life does not allow his other half to come to him, because he has erected such walls around himself through which his other half, which will spoil his life, as he will say later, cannot break through. Once again, the door preserves, as it preserves our inner comfort, harmony, idle, and no one can pass through this door. A person begins to suffer from loneliness, sometimes it negates all the other joys of existence. This aphorism somewhat opens your eyes that formally you are never alone. Even if it seems to you that you are alone, you are always with your other half. There is no particle detached from the whole. The particle has shielded itself from the whole, but the whole has not disappeared from this, it always manifests. And the question is to learn to perceive this whole. The whole is always with you, it can pass through any locked door. True enlightenment and true liberation can be achieved only by going through this crucible. All tantric traditions speak about this. Everyone who tries to skip this stage of the relationship must at least be born again before reaching the final liberation. So says the tantric tradition. If you want to win in this life, and not wait for the next one, then you are prescribed to go through it already in this life. Of course, it is possible for monks to live another 5 years of their lives, preparing themselves in every possible way for this meeting. But sooner or later, they will have to go through it anyway. Life is yoga. 2 extremes that you will face. The first is loneliness, and the second is living with your other half. But this aphorism says that you are never deprived of communication with the Supreme, you are never deprived of the support of the Absolute. It can manifest itself between as you like. You are never deprived of communication with your other half, because the whole universe is your other half. If a person communicates with the universe as with his other half, then he is in harmony. This explains why people live in monasticism. If a person lives in monasticism, but does not communicate with his universe as with his second half, then this is a form of a very serious disorder, which leads to neurotic factors. Moreover, when you encounter something negative, then again you encounter the universe, which is trying to convey something to you through these words. If you have embarked on a spiritual path, it is highly desirable to communicate with like-minded people, because there is no more terrible obstacle in the lives of people engaged in yoga than the difference of spiritual views. If people have different spiritual views, then they are held together by secondary karmic moments, money, housing. That is, household factors. A person practicing yoga accumulates enough positive karma throughout his life and quickly solves these problems. If earlier you were bound by something secondary together, now, thanks to the fact that you are engaged in yoga, you understand that the utter incompatibility is based on the most important thing, on spiritual aspirations. Therefore, it is highly desirable to practice Tantra yoga practices primarily by people like themselves. And where can I get them? This is a very serious issue. If you haven't met your other half yet, then as a rule, this can only mean that the universe, as a caring mother, still protects you. Because if you meet your half not ready, then you yourself can make things worse. You have not sufficiently taught yourself to control yourself, not to be selfish, to deny yourself somewhere. Because it's like meeting an opponent in battle. Because communicating with the opposite sex is like communicating with your worst enemy. You should be one, but you are separated by quality. You would be happy to merge, but your negative karma prevents it, so first you need to put yourself in order. Now about why there is such optimism in Tantra, that everything will pass, everything will be fine. This confidence is based on the fundamental principle of the equilibrium of the universe, or rather, the universe is enlightened at every second, at every point of space. It's just that you are shifted to one side, and all the circumstances, so that you do not disturb the harmony of the universe, are shifted to the other side. The other point is the point of enlightenment. But you are shifted to one side, and your whole life is shifted to the other side, so that this point is not violated. If this had not happened, as the wife of a yoga teacher claims, the whole world would have collapsed.
The fifth aphorism is the cornerstone. There is nothing purer, there is nothing more sacred, there is nothing more sublime than sexual energy. The sixth aphorism: your sexual energy doesn't drive you to hell, your sexual energy takes you to heaven. It enslaves you or frees you. Be careful. The seventh aphorism: reckless conversion of sexual energy deprives us of spirituality, vitality, charm, power of reason, shortens our lives, turns us into slaves, and our life into hell. Beware of this, because then it is difficult to achieve anything in yoga. Comments. Each person has a single energy, with which he manifests himself in different ways. Sexual energy is also one of the manifestations. It is a single energy, and what distinguishes it from all the others is that it is closest to that universal unified energy. There is a tendency to be suspicious of sexual energy in all spiritual cultures. There are two opposite tendencies in a person. On the one hand, you can't give up your sexual energy, but on the other hand, if you start using it thoughtlessly, there comes emptiness and sometimes degradation. That is why morality has been so strictly observed in all cultures. Then it turned into a taboo on sex. But in Tantra Yoga, you will not take a single step with this attitude. If you think that sexual energy is something vicious and dirty, then you have nothing to do in Tantra. You should absolutely feel that there is no cleaner energy. If there is even a shadow of doubt, then it's like a fly in the ointment, will spoil your barrel of honey. Therefore, this is the cornerstone. Any transformation of our consciousness is possible thanks to our energy. Only by using our single energy can we change our consciousness to the level of a superconscious state of samadhi. There is no other way out. Therefore, we need to manipulate this single source of internal energy. And the way to control the unified energy through the use of sexual energy is the most powerful and fastest, but at the same time the most dangerous. In order to warn yourself, you need to understand very clearly that there is nothing more pure, holy, and sublime than sexual energy. Now let's touch on this taboo. Why do all religions talk about banning the use of sexual energy? Since this is a very powerful force, it can throw you down in illiterate hands. This is a very strong source of energy, and if you direct it to the wrong place, you will get to where it is not necessary. This taboo system exists only to protect against these falls. But on the other hand, if all taboos were sacredly fulfilled, we would all die out. There is still a bright, strong potential, and no matter how much a person is burned with sexual energy, time passes, it is replenished, and erases all feelings of negativity. It is stronger than the power of reason, no matter how many theories, taboos, restrictions you invent for yourself. But this energy accumulates, and like water, erodes a dam. The potential of sexual energy is higher than all thoughts. Therefore, in this sense, the mind is weaker in terms of the spectrum of controlled energies than sexual energy. Therefore, all these taboos hold for a while, and then life takes its toll anyway. It is very easy to achieve samadhi only by using a single energy, primarily sexual energy. Numerous treatises, numerous branches of Tantra Yoga teach how this energy can be forced to rise to the highest level of our spiritual development. But, unfortunately, Not all of these methods are available to us for one reason or another. Some have not reached us, they simply have not been preserved, and some still lie in temples, and the priests do not see the opportunity to make them public. But the biggest problem is that humanity is not yet ripe for these energies. And that's where our lecture ends. We'll continue next time.
Yes, we thank everyone who was with us.
And we remind you,
What is our name?
Tatiana Tatva.
And Anton is alive, and we are a teacher of the International Open Yoga University. All information is on the website of the opanyogaclass.com.
There are free yoga courses, as well as paid teacher training in Russian and English. Join us.
Thank you all.
Thank you.